and welcome to another edition of Almost Martha. And today I'm going to be making something I've never made before, but it's something that I really like and was recently introduced to again when I went to go visit Mom. Hi, Mom! For my birthday, and we had an ice cream cake. My brother went and got an ice cream cake for my birthday, and I don't think I've had one of those since I was like 13, just a long time ago, very long time ago. Anyway, it was so good. It was so good. And then my brother said, why don't you make an ice cream cake on Almost Martha? And you could do it with red velvet cake and chocolate mint ice cream. And I said, wait a minute, what about peppermint ice cream for Christmas? Yay! So that's what I'm going to do. And you're going to help me do it. I've thought about it and what steps I'm going to take and, all of that good stuff. I'm going to try to make it relatively easy. It's going to take a couple of days to get everything all good because you have to keep freezing it, at different points. But I have some fabulous ice cream. Haagen-Dazs now has their peppermint bark ice cream, and it's so good. And I am going to cheat, and I'm going to use a mix for the red velvet cake because it's going in the freezer and, all of that. So it should be relatively easy, crossing fingers, and let's make it together. It's going to be fun. I have two 9-inch cake pans, and I am putting some ice cream in both of them. I'm using the Haagen-Dazs because I have to tell you, it is the best peppermint bark ice cream on the market. It is just unbelievable. Tons of chocolate, tons of peppermint, really good ice cream. So absolutely delicious. So what I'm trying to do, the ice cream is soft. It got softer once I scooped it out, right? Because it's going to melt a little faster. So what I'm trying to do is even out this ice cream. We're going to try to get a nice smooth layer. I think the spoon works better than the spatula actually. So I'm going to try to spread this out. You want a nice smooth layer because this ice cream will rest in between the cake layers. Okay. We want it to be smooth. And we want it to be even. That just needs another minute. Okay. Come on now, ice cream. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good. I didn't put anything in here. I didn't put parchment paper. I didn't put plastic wrap. I thought I would, but as it turned out, I thought it was best not to. So when we get the ice cream out of the pan, we'll just have to take a warm knife and run it around the edge. See if we can get it to come loose, pretty easily. Now we really kind of want to make this as flat as we can make it. Okay. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. They look to be about even, which is also good. Okay. So now there is yeah, this is going to be really good. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cover this quickly. We're going to put it in the freezer, and we want it to really freeze. And then we will move on to the next step. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put plastic wrap over it. And then I'm going to put, I think, a little aluminum foil on top as well. Just want this to be, oh, there we go. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay. Nothing's touching. Don't let that plastic wrap or anything that you put on there actually be touching the ice cream, because you will have a fight on your hands afterwards. You don't want that, right? So stretch it tight. Stretch it tight. I don't think I need the aluminum foil. I think this will be fine, because really it's just going to go in there for a little while. So here we go into the freezer to get it nice and frozen. Day 2 of our Christmas extravaganza. So we're going to bake the cakes today. We could have baked them yesterday. However, I was using the cake pans to freeze the ice cream, and I needed the cake pans. So late last night, after they were really, nice and frozen, I took a warm knife and I ran it around the edges, and then I dug them out of the pan. Note to self, and for you, I should have put a circle of parchment paper in the bottom of these. It would make the lifting up much easier, but they lifted up. That was all fine, and they're freezing still in the freezer with parchment paper, so all is well there. And now I have my pans back so we can bake our cakes. And we're going to do something really simple. I got a Betty Crocker red velvet cake mix. I would make it from scratch, but because it's going in the freezer and, with ice cream, I didn't think it really, would make that big of a difference. So I'm going to use cake mix. Nothing wrong with using a good cake mix. So I'm just going to put this in my bowl. Just follow the instructions on the packet. The only thing we're going to do differently is we're going to make 3 slightly skinnier layers, right? Because we're not going to be making just a 2-layer cake. So it calls, you put the mix in, you put in a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil and 1 cup of water. I'm going to take my water, I'm going to pour it right in here, kind of pick up the rest of that oil and put it right in. Beautiful. And 3 eggs that I have already cracked. All is well. And now this time we're going to use this kind of mixing wand in our mixer. I'm going to put it back on. That's in. Lift my bowl. And now we're just going to beat the cake as per the directions on the box. And we're also, like anything else, we're going to scrape down the sides. Make sure everything gets mixed properly. Nice and red. Really nice and red. Okay. We'll let that work in here while we prepare our pans. Now, when you read the cake mix, it says to grease your cake pans. Well, the last time I just greased my cake pan, the cake wouldn't come out. So I am going to grease and flour the cake pans, which was always my job as a little girl, and I just hated it. So when this product came out, Baker's Joy, it was like, because you just spray it. You just spray it right in your cake pan, just like you would Pam normally, and it's a combination of, butter, shortening, and flour. So you just spray it right on. It's the easiest thing in the world. I would have loved to have had that as a kid. It was always my job, because it's not a good job, right? So you let your children do that, right, Mom? Hi, Mom. But now nobody has to. Now nobody has to. Okay, so I got my dry ingredients all in there. And now we're just going to kind of mix it for 2 minutes until smooth. Our batter is all finished. And now I'm going to spray these pans just around the sides and the bottom. It's going to look like that. And then we're going to try to get a relatively even amount of batter into each pan. Okay, so Oh, I have to tell you something. So over Thanksgiving, we kind of made this table that I'm working at like the buffet table, and I put out all the dishes on here, and I put this wonderful creamed cauliflower or like cauliflower gratin out right out of the oven, and I put down like a dishcloth, right? And when I did that, unfortunately, a lot of the heat stayed, in the dish. So the next day, when I lifted up the towel, there was a big white heat mark on this table. And I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? So I Googled how to get rid of a heat stain, and it said to use toothpaste or to use baking soda. So I tried baking soda, really didn't do anything. And then my husband was like, well, we can always, have it refinished. He goes, and we can continue to try with other light abrasives. And I thought, oh, okay. So I went and I got my Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, those white sponges, and I scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed right here. And then I took the oil that we oil this with periodically, put it right on there, and that thing was gone. So keep that in mind. But if you're going to use it on a really fine piece of furniture, I would test it on a spot first, just to make sure it's not going to damage anything. But at that point, I figured it was worth a shot because it was going to have to get refinished anyway. So, miracle, miracle. Thank you, Mr. Clean. Thank you, Mr. Clean. Okay, so I'm using 9-inch cake pans because I wanted this to be thin, right? So instead of 2 9-inch, pans, now I've got 3. So it really doesn't look like there's much cake in there at all, which is kind of good because we want these layers to be thin. You don't want a gigantic cake. I mean, I love cake. When they give you a cake that's like that tall, that's tough, man. That's a lot of cake. That's a lot of cake, especially since I've been drinking a lot of eggnog. I got to cut back on the eggnog because I love eggnog lattes. Oh my goodness, they're so good. But you can only imagine how many calories are in each one. It takes like a full cup, I think, of eggnog to make one. So that's a lot of eggnog. And be careful with this cake batter because there is a lot of red food coloring in here, so you can stain things. You can stain your apron, you can stain your hands, you can stain your tongue. Yep, that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, so now I'm just gonna shake them a little bit. I know it'll spread out in the oven, so that'll be fine. That'll be fine. I can't help myself. Can't help myself. That's what I was known for when I was a child, was eating eating raw dough. Oh, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. And sometimes I would just make a big bowl of icing and just eat that. Yeah, okay, those were the days. Okay, so now I'm going to have 3 thin layers, and I'm going to hope it doesn't dome up too much, but if it does, we're going to slice the dome because we really are going to need a flat layer. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to stick them in the oven. So we had a little audio mishap. So I'm just going to run through what we did. So I took out the ice cream discs from the freezer and I trimmed them to match the layers of the cake because they had shrunk just a tiny bit in the oven. So I knew there was going to be a size discrepancy. So I just trimmed around to make sure that the ice cream was the same exact size as the cake. And then I just layered one upon the other. I did have to slice, one off a little bit just to make sure that it was nice and flat. So here is the final product, at least from this stage, right? So it's a layer of cake, ice cream, cake, ice cream, cake. And now, before I do anything more, I'm gonna refreeze it because I want that ice cream to be nice and hard because it'll take a few minutes to put the icing on it, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it in the freezer and then we will prepare the icing and the garnish of peppermint bark. Oh, it's gonna be good. Okay. We're kind of at the final phase, so I'm gonna make some icing. And I thought about this icing for a long time because you didn't want icing that was going to get really hard, right? But I also, with red velvet cake, traditionally you have cream cheese frosting. So I wanted some cream cheese frosting, and I looked at all of these different recipes for ice cream cakes because believe there are people that make a lot of ice cream cakes, and they said that a whipped cream frosting is really good on an ice cream cake because it doesn't get too hard. So I'm going to do a combo, and we're going to have some cream cheese and some whipped cream for the frosting. So the first thing I'm going to do is I put in 1 package of cream cheese. It's just one of those big bricks of cream cheese. I have about 1 cup of powdered sugar. I'll lift my mixer up. And then I'm going to cream these two together. Nicely creamed. So now we're going to start with our whipping cream. And this has to make a frosting. So it's going to have to get really whipped up. So I'm just going to add this in a little bit at a time. Looks like it's getting incorporated pretty well. That's about two cups. I'm going to go ahead and add maybe another half cup because I want to make sure I have enough icing. So that's a little, about 2.5 cups of whipping cream. Okay, I'm going to stop it one more time, and I'm just going to make sure everything is all together because now it's very liquidy, right? So I'm going to get pieces of that cream cheese that haven't been fully folded in. So now we're gonna work this just like we're making whipped cream. And now we're gonna whip it up until we see those peaks forming in there. There's a fine line between whipped cream and butter. So you don't want to over whip it or you're gonna have butter on your hands. So, but this I think is, those are soft peaks. We really need those stiff peaks, so I'm going to keep going. Okay. Yep, we're totally there. We are there. Okay. Now we're going to add some vanilla in. So I'm going to take this out. Yep, that's stiff all right. I don't think it's butter. That's good. See, I can totally eat this because there are no raw eggs in there. Okay. Now we're going to fold in some vanilla. I like vanilla. I don't want to do too much. I don't want it to color it too much, but about a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm just going to whip this in. Okay. Oh my gosh, we're here. We're here. I'm going to go get the cake, and you're going to see I have chopped for decoration. I have chopped some peppermint bark. I use the best peppermint bark in the world. It's that Williams-Sonoma peppermint bark. It is so good. That's going to be your decoration. Okay, wish me luck. I'm going to go grab that cake. Yes, here it is. Okay. So I wrapped it up in parchment paper. I put it in the freezer. So time is not on our side. We're going to have to ice this very quickly very quickly. Okay, I'm just going to plop some here, some there. I don't have all of my decorating tools handy, so I'm just going to use my knife and my spatula. And we're going to get this whipped cream icing all over the cake. Well, it's quite nice, actually. Should be a very pretty, delicious cake. But I don't want my ice cream to melt, so we're going to have to work fast. As fast as we can without going too crazy. Because it's frozen very hard now. So hallelujah for that, right? So it can sit there while I ice it. So I do have a few minutes, but I am going to do it as quickly as I can. And boy, it was hard to get a place in the freezer for this thing to sit. And now when I put it back down in the freezer, I'm going to just put it in there without wrapping it up, right? Because I don't want it to stick to the icing. So I'll leave it in there for several hours until that icing freezes, and then I'll be able to completely wrap it up and wait until I'm going to serve it. So, boy, what a beautiful, icing this makes. Very beautiful. It's very, just goes where you want it to. And it's probably very helpful that it's going on a cake that's frozen. So it's nice and cold, which is good for that whipped cream, right? Oh, that's beautiful. That's really looks like snow. It looks like snow. So I live in New York. Last year we had 1 inch of snow, like for the whole darn winter. It was very disappointing. So I'm really hoping that we get a little snow. I know I'm going to see snow when I'm visiting you, Mom. Hi, Mom. We're going to be visiting you, and I know it's going to be snowing there. So if I don't get my snow in New York, I'll get my snow there. Let's just hope it's not too much. Not too much, no. Not too much. Boy, we're really picky, aren't we? It's not enough, it's too much. That'll be great. Okay, that's perfect. Now we got to work on this garnish. So I want to kind of create a little rim. Okay, I'm going to put some here. A little rim around the side, if I can. Because we're going to decorate it with our peppermint bark. So okay, now I think I chopped, just looking at it, about 1.5 cups of this peppermint bark. And you want it to show, some of the peppermint, but you want it to be nice and plentiful. You don't want gigantic chunks, but you want chunks that are big enough so that, you know what it is. It's peppermint bark. And then we'll try to face some of the peppermint up, so it's very obvious what this is. And of course it has peppermint bark ice cream on the inside. I can't wait. I can't wait to see their faces. I'm gonna pull this baby out. That should be something. So this is going right back in the freezer, right as is. It's in the freezer. It's in the freezer. So I had some bark left over. So I think just, a little over 1 cup chopped would be fine. But I'm not going to complain because that just gives me a little something to eat, right? This is really going to be good. Okay, so the next time you see it, I'll be serving it. I can't wait.
Ooh. Oh my God! That was never such a cake. Oh yeah! That's spectacular.
It's beautiful.
Just wait till I slice it. We're here. It's the Christmas Extravaganza cake. So this is my peppermint bark red velvet ice cream cake topped with pieces of fabulous peppermint bark. So now I'm going to cut it for the first time. We've got lots of people in there waiting for their special slice. Okay, here we go. Okay. I just got it out of the freezer. Okay. Yeah, it's hard. Okay. I'm gonna heat it up. You know, you guys know, first slice is always the hardest one to do. It's the first one. Okay, hold on. I got flying bark. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Oh my God, oh my God. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Okay. You know what I'm going to hear when I go in there? They're going to go, do you have a small piece? And I'm going to go, no, I don't. Because you can't cut it that way. Okay. Do you have a small piece? Well, thanks for joining, everyone. I hope you make the cake. I really do. I think my guests really enjoyed it. And look at it. It's a beautiful thing. It's a really big piece. I know, because there are no small pieces, right? Seriously, let it thaw for about 10 minutes before you cut it. Everything will be much, much easier for you. But it's really good. I hope you make it. And whatever holiday that you celebrate, I sure hope that it's a happy one. So we'll see you here next time on Almost Martha. Hi, Mom. I'll see you soon. Happy holidays.